Welcome to the NFL Divisional Round of the Sports Phenom Show, the best damn sports betting show on the planet, where you get all of my capping insight and picks on every game in under 30 minutes. No boring gibberish, only the main points that need to be said, and no commercials. Just the way we like it. I am the owner of SportsBettingPhenoms.com, better known as the Phenom World Series of Handicapping Champion. I run the only site on the planet where all of our cappers had to go through a rigorous qualifying process, all of which did so with at least a 60% record and unprecedented units of profits, max lines of minus 150, along with different tier levels based on each capper's performance, where all results are fully documented from day one. And all of our packages are 100% guaranteed to profit. No one else offers what we do at more than fair pricing and unprecedented results you simply can't find anywhere else. Okay, so a quick recap of my start to the playoff edition of this podcast with my wild card weekend picks that get the job done once again, going 3-2, topped off by my shocker of the week on the LA Rams, who destroyed the Minnesota Vikings. With a little bit more luck, I very easily could have went 5-0, losing close games, close spreads with both Pittsburgh and Tampa Bay. I was most frustrated with Tampa Bay. I can't believe they lost that game. But I'm always happy with making money, folks, and I'm sure you are too. 3-2 just did that for you. And it also increased my overall record for the season to an unprecedented, absolutely incredible 163-98. That's 63% over 261 games. It surely doesn't get better than that. Okay, so now to the divisional round picks. I am once again going to have a full money 5 card for you to take advantage of. There's going to be a lot of teasers here this week. That's the way to go. After my full analysis, you will see why. I took the time all week to prep these games up to this point, and I believe we are going 5-0 here this week. And we started all off with Houston and Kansas City. All right, so Kansas City obviously had another amazing season, going 15-2. And I'm sure all of you will agree that this record is somewhat tainted, however, and somewhat fraudulent, if it's fair to say. I mean, I could come up with at least a handful of games where this team, Kansas City, lucked out and could have very easily lost the game. Even so, this team is rightfully favored, however, to win it all again for a third straight time, possibly, and that'll earn them the historic coveted dynasty status. I'm sure Coach Reed and all of the players have this added incentive momentum like they needed anymore, but that gives them the added juice in their veins to get the job done once again here this year, and I believe they have a very good chance of doing that. Now, at the same time, they've had an extended layoff, having the bye last week and resting their starters in that last regular season game, so they've had a full 3 weeks off. Now, most may think this is a big advantage to the Chiefs. However, I'm going to be the contrarian here in this one and say that they might come out a little bit slow out of the gate, a little rusty here, and might take a half or two to get back their mojo. And then we have Houston, who we can't forget just came off that big wild card win last weekend where they blew the Chargers out of the stadium. So I'm pretty sure that's going to give the Texans some confidence heading into this one, and they might be able to get off to a bit of a good start here, maybe even get an early lead. My problem in this game comes down to the line. So we see this 7.5, and in cases where lines are over the touchdown, the first thing I ask myself is, will the favorite be able to get around a 17-point minimum lead at the end of this game or near the end of the game? Are they going to be up around that 17 to 20 point mark? Let's say just a little under 5 minutes to go. This will assure you that you have a winning pick. The problem is, if you don't, and let's say Kansas City, who could be up around, let's say, 14 points, with all things considered and being a little rusty and the long layoff, and Houston obviously coming off the big win, and they're more than ready to go here in this one, they could get the back door, cut that to 7, and you lose. You don't want to be screwed that way. And with the current circumstances, again, with the long layoff for Kansas City and a big win for Houston last week, I'm not sure if that 7.5 here is something we want to lay with Kansas City. Now, I understand they're a better playoff team also than they usually are in the regular season. They weren't covering spreads in the regular season that much. And we jump back on them here in the playoffs. But again, with the circumstances here, I'm just not so sure we're ready to do that in this first game. So here's what I conclude with this one. When all is said and done, the right way to go in this game is to take Kansas City on a tease. We're going to take them down from that 7.5 all the way to the half. That should secure ourselves a win here in this one. I mean, Houston, yes, coming off the big game, they're going to give them a bit of a go and might not be able to get off to a good start. But let's face it, it's another juggernaut to end up playing the Kansas City Chiefs. They are a whole other level, and this is a whole other war that's not going to be in the Houston Texans' favor, especially trying to fight that war without your best 2 offensive soldiers in Stephon Diggs and Tank Dell. So again, with all that considered and the high line in this one, there's only one way to go. We're going to tease Kansas City down to a half, and we'll match them up in a 3-round robin of teasers. And those plays will be confirmed at the end on your Money 5. And we're going to match Kansas City up with 2 other teams here this weekend, so stay tuned for that. Next game, Washington and Detroit. Well, this game has 7-point teaser written all over it, with Detroit favored by 9.5, taking this game down to 2.5. To me, is just like fine wine that's been aging for years. That's what Detroit's been doing, aging like fine wine over the last few years, building up this, what looks to be a juggernaut for years to come, and now culminating to what should be their first Super Bowl appearance in decades. And this is a perfect prelude to that happening, in my opinion. Taking the Lions in this spot down to 2.5. It's just like enjoying that first sip of that fine aged wine. And as you finish that first glass, oh so nicely, oh so easily, so should the Lions get by the Washington Commanders oh so nicely and oh so easily in this one, laying the 2.5. The only hope for Washington, in my opinion, in this game, and in order to at least keep it close, is to get Jaden Daniels running and running the ball as much as possible. Detroit is somewhat suspect to running QBs, but I'm sure they're going to have something set up for Jaden Daniels here. They've had a long time to prepare also. So unless that is the difference in the game, it will at least keep Washington close in my opinion, but I don't think Detroit's going to end up losing the game because of this. The other thing that does stand out a little bit in Washington's favor is this absolute decimated, injury-riddled defense that Detroit currently has. And we have to mention that because it's still a big reason why I believe that Washington could keep this close. In any other circumstance, I'm probably laying the 9.5, even 10 in this game. If everything fell into fruition just perfectly for Detroit here, I really would have loved the Lions, but we're just simply playing with caution here in this one. It's better to be safe than sorry, as I mentioned here many times on this podcast. So we're going to play it safe, and we're going to play it with that nice, fine aged glass of wine and taking it down to 2.5. So my first official parlay, or excuse me, teaser, a round robin teaser here on this week's podcast for your divisional round will be to take Kansas City -0.5 and match them up with Detroit -2.5. Next game, the LA Rams and Philadelphia Eagles. Okay, so the Rams was my shocker money 5 best bet of the wild card round, and it sure did not disappoint, blowing out the 12-3 better record Minnesota Vikings in an absolute destruction. That's the kind of picks you were getting from me all year long. But now I'm going to go the other way and take Philly in a moneyline parlay here in this one. This is a long trip for LA, who's a different team on the road. And especially in the frozen tundra that is Philadelphia. Not to mention the most raucous crowd you can experience in the league. As a road player, snap counts will be a huge factor for Stafford, along with, of course, the possibility of snow and the weather. Not going to be favorable conditions at all for LA in this one. If LA has their shit together, and they probably will, I don't see any reason Philly doesn't get by LA here in this one. LA played for LA in the name of LA, I guess, with all the wildfires and things like that last week. They really wanted that win. They got it done against Sam Darnold. Come on, how can Sam Darnold of Minnesota have been favored in that game? I still can't believe it. That was easy money. I unloaded. I hope you all did also. But now, again, this is a complete different juggernaut heading into Philadelphia in this one. The Eagles are absolutely stacked with A.J. Brown and running back Barkley, who's hungry like a salivating bear at the hopes of his first Super Bowl appearance. But it's simply a lot of points that bothers me, is the only thing that bothers me. I do think that Philly gets the job done by probably a touchdown. But I also think it's important to play it safe in these divisional round games. They're very tough games. Vegas has had plenty of time to only look at a few games, and when they do, they come up with some better lines. So we have to try to put things in a more advantageous position for ourselves with the line. That's what smart sharps do. That's what I'm going to teach you to do. And that's what I've been showing you all season long, especially here in the latter part of the season when these teasers are coming into play. These sharper lines are in play, and we're taking that to our advantage. So we're going to do that also here in this one. We're going to take Eagles down from 6 down to the pick'em in a teaser, and we're going to match them up with Kansas City. This time, Kansas City down from 7.5 down to 1.5. I think I said parlay earlier, but no, I meant teaser. Sorry. So again, another official money 5 selection will be on Philly. Take it down from 6 to a pick, and Kansas City down to 1.5. Next game, and this is going to be our last game of the divisional round. Baltimore and Buffalo, by far the best game of the playoffs, and might even be the best game of the entire season. Man, am I pumped for this one. This is what every football fan waits for all season long, every single year, for a big game like this, and especially a meaningful one at that. And this game is just that. Wow. We couldn't ask for a better matchup. So what do we have here in store for this game? I love it so much that it's going to be a teaser and an ATS game for us in the money 5. It's going to be very similar to what I gave you last week in the LA Rams, who upset Minnesota. That was my shocker of the week, and this is going to be my shocker of the week here. And this one, I'm going to do the exact same thing on this game because I love Buffalo to win, and we're going to match it up in a tease to have more opportunity for more money here on this selection. Baltimore, coming off that win last week against Pittsburgh, looked good. Lamar Jackson looked better than he has in previous playoff years. But let's not forget, Pittsburgh didn't look great at the end of the season, did they? How many games did they lose in a row? 4 or 5 heading into the playoffs. They finished it off with another loss, 5 or 6 losses to end the season. So what can we really take from that? It was also in Baltimore. But now you're having to go into Buffalo, where the Bills are unbeaten at home this season. And I believe will continue to be that way. This is a whole other level of competition for Baltimore. I mean, there's no comparison between Buffalo and Pittsburgh. So this is going to be a very tough game for Baltimore. But it's not like Baltimore doesn't have a chance. They've got Henry. They've looked better than they have in years. They look like a team that very well could be a contender for the Super Bowl. But the problem here, again, is, for me, the fact that Buffalo is going to be playing at home, and I feel that is the difference in this game. And we are going to take Buffalo. Josh Allen just looks absolutely amazing this year. As good as Lamar has looked, I'm sorry, but I think Josh Allen is the most valuable player of the season. Maybe if Burrow, and Cincinnati Bengals made the playoffs, there would be a huge consideration for Burrow to win it, but it's unfortunate they didn't make the playoffs. So that most valuable player award now, to me, goes to Josh Allen. He's just had an incredible season. They just look unstoppable. They beat a great Denver defense last week. And even though this is going to be a step up in competition also for Buffalo, I feel like this is the best chance that Buffalo has ever had to not only make it to the Super Bowl, but win it all. So what we're going to do here in this one is we're going to take them in a tease. I'll have further information on that now in the next segment with the Money 5, and we're also going to take them ATS, and we're going to take them up from 1.5 plus 1.5 up to 3.5. Stay tuned now for our official Money 5 selections coming up so I can repeat exactly what we do have in that Money 5 for you here this week. Okay, now to that Money 5 segment here for the Divisional Round. I do once again have a full slate Money 5 card for you, so take advantage. And we started all off with your 3 round robin teasers. They are all 2-team 7-point teases as follows. The first one I gave you was on Kansas City. Take them down from 7.5 down to 0.5, and take Detroit down from minus 9.5 down to 2.5. So officially, Kansas City minus 0.5, Detroit minus 2.5. The second round robin teaser on Kansas City once again minus 0.5, and Buffalo up to 8.5. So officially, Kansas City minus 0.5, Buffalo plus 8.5. And the final round robin teaser, Detroit minus 2.5 and Buffalo plus 8.5. Now I gave you one more teaser, and that was on Philadelphia from 6 down to pick 'em. So this is going to be a 2-team 6-pointer, and we'll throw Kansas City in there again. Kansas City this time minus 1.5. My only spread selection of the week will be on Buffalo. Once again, my shocker of the divisional round. This time on Buffalo plus 3.5. Same thing, exactly what we did last week with the Rams. They were 1.5-point dogs. We boosted them up to 3.5. Didn't even need the points. Shouldn't probably need the points again here in this one, but we'll play it safe. Take it from 1.5 up to 3.5 to conclude your Money 5 picks for the divisional round. Okay, folks, that's going to do it for the divisional round. I am the Phenom, wishing you all an amazing week. Let's get this money. See ya.